Hey guys, welcome back to the Matthew Freeman Show. Today I wanted to do a quick impromptu podcast about diving into fear, or diving into the things that scare you most. Fear is one of those things that we believe holds us back, and in many cases it does, because we don't choose to tackle it head on. And let me give you a few examples of what I'm talking about here. I've always had, from January to April, no matter how much money I've ever made, taxes always freak me out. No matter how much I have saved, no matter how much I have put away, no matter how much I've prepared for taxes or been unprepared for taxes, it's just the process of filing, paying, and having some completion. It's the incompletion, the unknown. For example, I have an idea, but it's the unknown, waiting for that number, waiting to pay. I never get really anything back. I always pay. I've been self-employed for years, so I've always paid. But it's like from January to April, no matter how prepared I was to pay, it's the unknown until I paid. And for years, I've always had the option to pay quarterlies, and I just never really thought about it. Well, this year, from January to April, it was just one of those things that it really crippled me. It's scary to me. I don't know why. It's just the incompletion, the idea of the unknown, the fact that it's just taxes. I don't know. It's just something that has always weighed heavily on my shoulders. So this year, more crippling than almost any other year, for a variety of reasons that, it's not even necessary to really go into to talk about what I want to talk about today, but it just really crippled me. And after I paid my taxes this year, I said, I'm paying quarterlies this year. I don't care what it takes. And I set a goal, and the due date for the first set of quarterlies is June 17th, and I said I am going to save enough to pay my first quarterly installment. Well, technically my first quarterly installment should have been in April, so next year I'll be super prepared for that, but I wasn't totally prepared this year, and I wish I was. But June 17th, I'm going to pay my first set of quarterly taxes, and I started putting money away and making sure I was prepared for that, and come June 17th, had the money, send off quarterlies, saving up now moving forward for the September payment. And man, what I wanted to share today is when you dive into that fear, when you tackle that fear head on, you just say, you know what? I'm going to deal with it. I'm not going to let it linger. I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm not going to enjoy 2/3 of the year only to not enjoy 1/3 of the year for something that's totally in my control. See, that's the thing. It's totally in my control to take action. Okay? It's also in my control to understand how much income that I make over the year. It's also in my control to set aside money to cover that. But I have other things that I've worked on that I've talked to you about, and I've never really been great with money, and so I've kind of done the out of sight, out of mind thing a lot of the times, and it always worked out. So I never really changed it, but did it really work out? And that's what I asked myself this year. Is it really working out to have anxiety for a quarter or a third of the year? A third of the year to have anxiety about something that you're completely in control of. So I decided I'll tackle fear head on. Just, this scares me, so I'm going to go after it. And there are several other things actually that usually all regarding money for me. I was avoiding getting a filling because I don't have dental insurance, and I said no, put it on the schedule, start putting money aside, and it's gonna work out. And today I got the first filling done, and I have to get one more, but it was, man, the filling itself took 25 minutes. They didn't even give me anesthetic, so it was super easy, and it felt liberating. So that's really what I wanted to come to you guys to talk to you about today, is when something scares you, instead of avoiding it, instead of running from it, tackle it. I can tell you that the other side of dealing with whatever is scaring you or tackling whatever is scaring you is liberating. I'm going to give you another quick example. Back when I was in the mortgage industry, I was doing really well here. Making a really good living. Had a beautiful house, beautiful wife, kids, everything. Well, I decided that I was going to take on the job in Roseville, a place that I didn't know, people that I didn't know, no contacts in real estate, nothing. And it scared me to death. It was like I'm leaving everything logical that makes sense, but there was something in my gut that said, you gotta go. And man, I went and I tackled it head on. I recruited, I built the office. The office did really well for a little while. Mortgage market crashed. I lost the office, kind of lost everything. Went to another mortgage company and built my way up there. And that's another day, another story. But the reality was I was so scared to take my family. My then wife was pregnant with our third, and 8 months pregnant. So it was just one of those things, I'm gonna take her away from her family. I'm gonna move to an unknown area with no known contacts or associates. It didn't make sense on any level, but I had this gut prompting, and it was like, go. And I went and I tackled that fear, and I won. It was liberating. Although I lost everything and I ended up back in Sonoma County divorced, the reality was I grew so much in those 4 to 5 years that I was out in Roseville, tackling those fears head on, the experiences that I gathered, the overcoming. I'm an introvert on the inside. I had to overcome that, and I had to go meet people, and I had to go talk to people, and I had to speak in front of people, and I had to, act like Bon Jovi in front of people. There were so many things that I had to do to get outside my comfort zone, and when I moved back here, I lost sight of that. But thinking back, Paulo Coelho in his book The Alchemist, there's one final test for the character, and he asks at the end, why, once I found my treasure, am I actually getting this last final test? What was the deal? And the guy mentions to him that he wanted to make sure that he remembered all the lessons he learned on his quest to the treasure. And when I look back at that time in Roseville, really the reality was it was a lifetime of lessons shoved into 4 years. Recruiting, hiring, managing, training, building businesses, having businesses fail, rebuilding businesses, trying to work on a marriage, losing a marriage, dividing up the kids, moving back to Sonoma County, meeting people, becoming an introverted extrovert, I always say, or extroverted, extroverted introvert, yeah. And just really kind of growing into a man, and getting humbled. Really, it was a time of humility, and I went so far in reverse, but it was a time of humility. So tackling your fear head on is liberating. When it comes to taxes, so liberating. That was the best thing I dropped in the mail in years, aside from gifts and cards for people that I care about. And it was liberating. And coming back from Roseville with all those lessons that I had learned from tackling that fear head on to take on a task that I didn't think I could do, it was liberating. I didn't know it in the moment, but I chased a gut prompting, and it went how it went. Maybe I stopped listening to my gut for a while I was there, but the lessons were plentiful. So maybe right now you're scared of something. Maybe it's just burdening you. It's weighing heavily on your shoulders right now. This thing that needs to be dealt with, but the courage just isn't there. I'm just here to tell you, if you tackle that thing head on, if you attack it, I'm sorry my oven's beeping at me, but if you attack that head on, I can promise you that it's liberating. I cannot promise you what the result might be. I don't know what it is you're scared of, but I can tell you that tackling that head on will be liberating. It will free you of this huge weight off your shoulder. Guys, as always, thank you for listening to the Matthew Freeman Show. If you've been a listener, thank you for coming back all the time and hearing what I have to say. If you're a new listener, thank you for joining me today. As always, you can follow me at Matthew Freeman, MATHEWFREEMAN on Instagram. You can email me at MatthewFreemanFitness, spelled exactly the same way, at gmail.com. Anything you'd like to hear about, anything you'd like to do, I'd love to hear it. But man, as always, thank you for listening. And when it comes to something, start simply and simply start. Have a great day.